Today, we are going to learn how you can convert one unit of capacity to another using the customary system. Capacity is how much something can hold, and we use gallons, quarts, pints, cups, and fluid ounces. I added this customary units of capacity chart on the right for you up at the top. You have it in your math book as well and in your notes that we took this morning. Let's look at our question. Miss Nellie's class needs 5 gallons of punch for a family math night. We need to know how much of each ingredient is needed to make enough punch with the recipe shown. And with our punch recipe, we have 5 pints of apple juice, we have 4 pints of lemon lime soda, and we have 1 pint of frozen orange juice. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to convert 5 gallons into pints. So we're going to look up at our chart and we can see that 1 gallon equals 4 quarts or 8 pints. So we're going to use that chart to help us. So since 1 gallon equals 8 pints, we need to multiply 5 times 8 to get 40 pints. So 5 gallons equals 40 pints. And we have a little chart here to help us. 1 gallon equals 8 pints. It also equals 4 quarts. 2 gallons equals 16 pints. It also equals 8 quarts. And so on. So you can just continue the pattern, or you can go up to the top like I did, and you can see that 1 gallon equals 8 pints. So we can just multiply 5 times 8. So now we're on to step 2. So in step 2, we have to add the number of pints in the recipe to find out how many batches the class needs to make. So we're adding up these numbers on the punch recipe, the 5 plus the 4 plus the 1, because you need 5 pints of apple juice, 4 pints of lemon lime soda, and 1 pint of frozen orange juice. So 5 plus 4 plus 1 equals 10. So the recipe calls for 10 pints, but we need 40 pints. So our equation is 10 times n equals 40, or what number? And our answer is 4. So the class will need to make 4 batches of the recipe. So now we're not finished yet. We have to go to step 3. We need to find out how much of each ingredient is in 4 batches. So all we're going to do is multiply 4 times the number of pints needed for each ingredient. So if we look back up at the punch recipe up here, right up here, we need 5 pints of apple juice. So since we need 5 pints of apple juice, we're going to multiply, and we need 4 batches, we're going to multiply 4 times 5, and we're going to get 20 pints of apple juice. Then we need 4 pints of lemon lime juice, so we're going to multiply 4 times 4 and get 16 pints of lemon lime juice. And for our last one, we need 1 pint of frozen orange juice, so we're going to multiply 4 times 1 and get 4 pints. So we need 20 pints of apple juice, 16 pints of lemon lime juice, and lime juice soda, and 4 pints of frozen orange juice. If you break down each problem and think to yourself when you're reading each problem, what is this question really asking me? Don't even try to get the answer right away. Just think, what is this question asking me? What are the steps that I need to take to get to the answer? Take your time and just do one step at a time. If you're not sure where to start, go back to the problem, underline the question, and circle what you know. Then use your chart and all the strategies that I have taught you to help you figure out where to begin. Let's look at the convince me on the bottom of the page. 1 gallon is going to equal, now you can use your chart up here, it's also in your book. 1 gallon is going to equal 4 quarts, 8 pints, or 16 cups. You do not have to memorize this. You will be able to use your chart on your homework and on your test. Let's do the guided practice together. I've added the customary units of capacity chart to help us with our work on the guided practice. We would like to know how many cups of punch does one batch of the recipe on the previous page make? Well, if we look at the previous page, one batch is 5 pints of apple juice, 4 pints of lemon lime soda, and 1 pint of frozen orange juice. When I add that together, that's going to equal 10 pints. We already did that part. So we want to know how many cups is that going to equal. Well, since there are 2 cups in 1 pint, all I have to do is multiply 2 times 10. And I can see right here that 1 pint equals 2 cups. So 2 times 10 would be 20, so it would equal 20 cups. All right, let's look at number 2. We want to know on number 2, 2 cups equals how many fluid ounces? Well, 1 cup is going to equal 8 fluid ounces. So all I have to do is 8 times 2, so we would get 16 fluid ounces. Number 3, we want to know if we have 3.5 quarts, how many pints will that be? So now we're going from quarts to pints. I'm going to highlight that part. So 1 quart equals 2 pints. So I know that since there's 2 pints in a quart, I'm going to need to multiply by 2. So I need to take 3.5 and multiply it by 2. I can't just multiply 3 times 2 and then add a half. That's not going to work. So you can either multiply 2 times 3 plus 2 times 1/2, or you can change 3.5 into an improper fraction. And to do that, just like we practiced yesterday, you're going to multiply 3 times 2, and then you're going to add 1. So 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 more is 7. So I'm going to change this to 7 over 2 times 2 over 1. I also taught you and reviewed yesterday that when you cross multiply, if the numbers across are the same, you can cross them off and make them both 1s. So I'm going to do that. This becomes a 1 and this becomes a 1. So 7 times 1 equals 7. So my answer is 7 pints. And for the last one, it says 1 pint equals how many fluid ounces? So if I look at my pint, I'm going to highlight it in red because it's already in green right now. So 1 pint is going to equal 2 cups or 16 fluid ounces. So I'm going to multiply, since there are 16 ounces in a pint, or 16 fluid ounces, I should say, 1 pint is going to equal 16 ounces. All right, you're going to use your chart and do the best you can and do numbers 5 through 14. Come and see me when you're done, and then I will assign you what to do.